Word tariff to me is the most beautiful word in the entire dictionary. We're going to tariff the hell out of them. I am a tariff man.
Trump on Monday announced that on his first day in office, he will sign an executive order to impose a 25% tariff on all goods from Mexico and Canada. And the tariffs will remain effective until drugs such as fentanyl and all illegal immigration from these countries stop. This, if materialized, will be a big hit for Canada, as US is its largest trading partner, and the total value of goods traded between them in 2023 was $774 billion, out of which Canada exported $421 billion and imported $353 billion worth of goods. In fact, 78% of Canada's goods export ends up in the US, so the US is a big market for Canada, and Trump is aware of this leverage.
Canada? Canada, nice guy.
There can broadly be three reasons behind Trump's plan to put a 25% tariff on Canadian exports to the US. And the first is, maybe he's telling the truth. An estimated 75,000 people died from fentanyl overdose in the US in 2023.
It's a normal afternoon on the doorstep of San Francisco's main government building, a snapshot of America's fentanyl crisis. It doesn't just look stark. An average of one person every 10 hours dies in this city of a fentanyl overdose.
And according to the US, China is the primary supplier of this drug. Fentanyl, also known as China White, first arrived in the US in the 1970s, but its consumption boomed in 2010s, after which the US government launched a crackdown on goods imported from China, post which the drug cartels changed track and started importing chemicals that are used to make fentanyl from China in either Mexico or Canada, disguised as gadgets and even shopping merchandise. Then these chemicals are sent to drug labs in these countries where they are converted into fentanyl, which is shipped across the border to the US. Now it all makes sense why Trump is threatening Canada and Mexico.
I said you have to close up your borders because they're coming in the northern border too a lot. Not like the southern border, but they're coming in the Canadian border a lot. And drugs are pouring in. Almost as importantly, drugs are pouring in, maybe more importantly.
But there's a catch. In 2023, US Customs seized 43 pounds of fentanyl at the Canadian border, which is nothing in comparison with the 21,100 pounds seized at the Mexican border. And on immigration, the US Border Patrol made 23,721 arrests at the Canadian border between October 2023 and September 2024, whereas 56,530 arrests were made at the Mexican border in October alone. Canada, by the way, has already been taking actions to stop this too, as Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has already announced a shift in immigration policy. He acknowledged that bad actors such as fake colleges and corporations have exploited Canada's system and revealed plans to reduce immigration targets.
So we're doing something major. We're reducing the numbers of immigrants that will come to Canada for the next 3 years.
So although Trump's reasoning for the tariff threat may seem reasonable for Mexico, it doesn't seem the same for Canada. Which brings us to our second reason. Trump just doesn't like Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. Trump and Trudeau were once amongst the best of friends on the global stage, but things quickly went sour when Trump in May of 2018 imposed tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminium in order to speed up the negotiations around the new NAFTA trade deal. But Canada in response announced tariffs to the tune of $16.6 billion on steel, aluminium and hundreds of other US products. And the relation further went downhill when this video of Justin Trudeau mocking Donald Trump at a 2019 NATO summit went viral. When asked about the same at a press conference, Trump called Justin Trudeau
he's too fast.
And in a series of tweets lashed out at him. Last time, however, it was only Trump who had problems with Trudeau, and not his White House. But this time around, his cabinet hates Trudeau too. As in the last few years, Justin Trudeau has been in the center of a few stories that have gotten widespread coverage in the United States, particularly among conservative circles. There was the Trudeau government's crackdown on Freedom Convoy, his ban on sale and transfer of handguns,
legislation to implement a national freeze on handgun ownership. What this means is that it will no longer be possible to buy, sell, transfer, or import handguns anywhere in Canada.
and Bill C-63. That's the one authorizing police to preemptively detain someone on the suspicion that they may say something hateful in the future. Tulsi Gabbard, Trump's new director of national intelligence, cut an entire video in 2023 calling Trudeau an enemy of freedom and democracy.
Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau in Canada has yet again very recently shown just how anti-freedom and anti-democracy he actually is.
Marco Rubio, Trump's Secretary of State, put his name to this 2020 letter calling Trudeau's Canada a massive sieve for Palestinian terrorism.
Senator Rubio, will you call for ceasefire?
No, I will not.
Gaza?
On the contrary.
Senator Rubio.
Are you filming it?
Wait,
So I want you guys to get this. I want them to destroy every element of Hamas they can get their hands on. These people are vicious animals who did horrifying crimes. And I hope you guys post that.
And what about the civilians that are being killed every day?
Hamas should stop hiding behind civilians, putting civilians in the way. Hamas knew that this was going to lead to this. So Hamas should stop building their military installations underneath hospitals.
Trump's national advisor, Mike Waltz, has already kind of endorsed Trudeau's opponent. So all in all, Trump's recent victory is a huge setback for Trudeau, as his approval numbers are already in the dumps. So the last thing he wants is the trade war with the United States, and this is the reason Trudeau on Friday went to meet Trump at Mar-a-Lago. Although both the parties claimed that the meeting was very productive, recent reports points to the contrary, as when Justin told Trump that his tariffs would crash Canada's economy, Trump responded that if the country could not survive without ripping off the US to the tune of $100 billion a year, then Canada should become the United States' 51st state, with Trudeau serving as its governor.
Why are we subsidizing these countries? If we're going to subsidize them, let it become a state.
Canada is all set for its federal elections next year, and Trump is doing his all to show how weak Trudeau is as Canada's PM and ensure that he loses the upcoming elections. Or maybe Trump is using this as a leverage over Justin Trudeau, which brings us to our next reason. Trump now wants to renegotiate the USMCA trade deal between the US, Canada, and Mexico. USMCA is a trade agreement signed between the three countries in 2018 as a replacement for NAFTA, which was signed in 1992. Donald Trump was the biggest critic of NAFTA.
I'm going to renegotiate NAFTA, one of the worst trade deals ever signed in the history of our country.
But if this is the case, why does Trump now want it to be renegotiated? The answer is simple. NAFTA, as per Trump, ripped off America as it opened doors for tariff-free trade between the three countries, and since Mexico among the three had the cheapest labor and resources, therefore corporations, in order to save costs, set up factories in Mexico to sell goods tax-free in the US and Canada. Now USMCA, even though claimed by Trump as a savior for America's manufacturing sector, is nothing but just a rebranding of NAFTA, and almost 90% of its provisions are copy-pasted from NAFTA. Although Trump wanted to make USMCA even more pro-American, he failed to do it last time due to lack of support from Congress and resistance from Mexico and Canada. But Trump now wants to change that, and maybe is using tariffs on these countries as a leverage for him to get a favorable deal.
And I'm announcing today that upon taking office, I will formally notify Mexico and Canada of my intention to invoke the 6-year renegotiation provisions of the USMCA that I put in.
So guys, it takes a lot of time to make these videos, and if you enjoyed watching it, please do like and subscribe to this channel for more such amazing videos. Thank you and bye bye.